Good afternoon. This is Peter from Magalies farm. As you can see, it is a lovely autumn day today out here in the pasture. It is now around about noon, so the sun is beating down quite warmly for an autumn day. We must say the weather's been surprisingly hot the last few days, so yeah, on average we can't complain though. So what I would like to talk today about is pasture management is something very crucial, and that is to do a general inspection of your pasture on a regular basis, but also on various times of the day, of the week, of the month, of the year, different seasons. It's very important to see what your pasture does different times of year and different times in seasons, because there are some problems you can face within a pasture that does not necessarily show itself immediately or during summer or during winter. I'm going to show you something in my specific pasture. Now, as you know, my farm is up here in the Magalies in South Africa. It's a beautiful area in our province, Gauteng, bordering on the northwest, and we're here on the tip of Africa, southern tip of Africa, especially in the areas here where we are in northwest, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and those areas, where you have rocky outcroppings, or like I am here up in the mountain. We have a problem with some very poisonous plants. Now, some of these plants are poisonous only to livestock, like cattle and sheep. Other plants that you have are poisonous for any kind of animal, whether it be wildlife or poultry or any of the grazers or browsers. Now, generally speaking, like over there, if you look, you can see in the clumps there and there, I have a huge problem with invaders like Lantana camara. Now, generally speaking, those don't pose a threat to poultry. Poultry actually eats the seeds and stuff like that, so it doesn't really affect them. But if you have something like pigs or sheep or even cattle, they do tend to, during winter time, when everything else of course is nice and brown like it is there, they will go for those evergreens like that. And as with anything, the dose makes the poison. If they eat too much of something like Lantana camara, they will have diarrhea in the best case scenario. Worst case scenario, it could kill them. We have trees over there, like that tree over there, that's Amelia, or in this area Sering. It's an invader that came from the Middle East or eastern sides, and what they are, they produce berries during certain times of the year, and those berries can, again, if consumed in huge quantities, be fatal for some livestock. Doesn't seem to affect the chickens all that much. So those trees are going to be cut down over a period of time and replaced with indigenous species that is more suitable for the pasture that we are looking at. But what I would like to talk to you about is the endemic little thing. And here we have a small little unobtrusive little broad-leaved shrub, and it is this guy over here. In common Afrikaans, it's just called gifblaar or poison leaf, for a very specific reason. Is this little plant contains, I think if I remember correctly, fluoroacetate, which is a very nasty poison for your big grazers like cattle and sheep. And the problem with them is they grow mostly underground. They form stolons or roots, and they just grow up and pop out everywhere on the pasture. Now, looking at the pasture, you can't even see that. But now, since we are going into autumn and winter, your pasture is going to go into recession. All the various grasses here are going to turn brown, especially in the areas that get frost. We up here, fortunately, we don't. However, we do get the dry winds, and that dries out the grass. And then you have these evergreens, and these evergreens then becomes a very nice tasty morsel for grazers like goats, sheep or cattle, and they accumulate enough poison to actually kill them. If I remember correctly from the stats, it can kill up to 8% of mortality of cattle in these regions due to plant ingestion are attributed to these little guys. Now, the problem is, if I didn't cut down this pasture, and if we didn't walk this pasture on a daily basis and inspected it before we moved the chickens on here, as you can see, it's not even a meter away where the coop was. And if I didn't check that, I could have easily left the chickens on here to graze this down to ground level, and I would have been none the wiser. And then the chickens would just die, and we would not know what the cause might have been. Now, as a qualified horticulturist and agriculturist, I do believe in using herbicide and pesticides very sparingly and with great sense of responsibility to the environment. And this would be one of those cases where I believe the use of a herbicide is called for the simple reason is, on a pasture like we have that's a few hectares, to manually come and dig those out is just not a viable option for me. And also, my neighbor over there, all along the ridges of the Magalies, all over there you can see is natural pasture. It's part of the nature conservation area of the Magalies, and there is plenty place where plants like this little devil can grow freely. So me managing a small piece of land like this is not going to jeopardize the vitality of a plant species within a certain region. So that is why I say it's very selective, very well thought of and controlled use of herbicide in these kind of cases are called for. Now, the problem is, with a plant like that, as you walk, you can easily confuse them with plants like these ones. These are just one of the Solanum species. They are a bit of a weed, but they do not pose any significant threat to my flocks or to any of the other animals on the farm. But you do find the problems that in here, unbeknownst to you, you can find a small little patch again. So there's a few over there, a few over there. So as you can see very clearly, where they were before, and we skipped this patch and then moved them on to a next patch where they missed the Now over there you can see the goats. They may also eat this kind of poison, and that might also be a problem for them, which is, like I say, one of the reasons why we control these kind of pests. Now, another reason why I would like to use herbicide in this case is, like I say, they are mostly a subterranean growing plants, so all their main stems are actually below the soil, and that means, plain and simply put, that even if I cut the leaves or put a mower in here and cut the leaves, the plant would still survive. I can just mention, now that I speak about cutting as well, we have one of our neighbors come in here and they cut the pasture down for us, and then they bale the grass basically like hay. So they bale the grass, and that gets sold into other farmers in the area that has got horses or cattle. Now, if I let those plants survive in my pasture and they accidentally cut some of that within that hay, and we sell it off to a guy with a equestrian farm or something like that, then it becomes my responsibility that I cause harm to other animals, and that will never be the idea of a regenerative farm like we have, and therefore it is very important for me to control. Now the other plants, like over there we have some Lantana over there that I'm just going to cut, pull out by tractor or use a 4x4 and just pull them out by root, and then they become very easy to control. Over there we have some sekkelbos, which is a hardwood thorny shrub, small tree that we have in South Africa, especially here more north towards the bushveld area, and they can also take over, especially in overgrazing areas they take over. So those ones I may leave or may take out, we're still deciding on that one. And like I say, other trees like Melia or so, that's easy for us to just take the chainsaw, cut them down. Now the trunks I will use as firewood in the fireplace during winter. It's not suitable to braai or barbecue on, but that's fine. Like I say, that will keep us warm. Can you be used in the donkey to heat up water for the outside things. There's also some poplars way at the back there, those silver leaves, those silver shiny leaves there in the background. They make very nice lateral poles for fencing or for chicken coops, those kind of things, and I just push them through the chipper and use them as bedding for the animals. So there are various ways to utilize these invader species, and like I say, we will be systematically replacing them with more endemic, more indigenous species like marula, which is a nice fruiting tree in these parts. You can make some nice marula beer from it and all the rest, or even some more valuable kind of trees like avocado trees or mango trees or lychees or any of those kind of fruits that might actually benefit us here on the farm. Now the other thing that I want to do here in the pasture is, at the moment there are no trees in this specific area. We want to establish a few trees sparingly, because this is savanna type kind of pasture, so we want to create a bit of shade and protection for the summer, because it can get scorchingly hot in here, and then the zinc roofs and the shade netted roofs do not provide enough protection from the sun for the animals. So we would like to actually incorporate a few trees in here that will give the necessary protection, especially to the western afternoon sun that can be scorchingly hot. So that's just in a nutshell. I'm actually standing here as well. Here you can see the brown leaves are actually that same little noxious plant that's dried out, and you can so easily miss that. So I'm going to get to treating those areas, walking through the pasture where the chickens are going to move to next, and making sure that I treat those plants and get rid of them out of the pasture. So from me, that is it for today. I wish you a very pleasant rest of the week.